So the first thing I want you to do is make sure that you've got a drink with you. If you don't know me, I always say bring a favourite cuppa. Now that cuppa could be tea, coffee, cold drink. Find somewhere snuggly. We always do training that is really enjoyable. It is not a chore. It is not something you have to do. It is so lovely to be together. Secondly, I'd encourage you to bring something to write things down, because there's going to be a lot of information. It's all going to make sense, but your little brain, if it's anything like my little brain, it will take it in and then it will forget quite a lot. So get ready to make some notes. Get somebody else to go and get you a drink, by the way. Don't run off and do that. So the first thing I would love to know, apart from all your wonderful hellos, which is really nice, Sally Sally here saying hello and saying, I'm sorting my classroom and listening in. Sally, go home. She's in the UK. It's 7:30. That is above and beyond, but I'm very glad you're listening in. And my Impact members and Greater Impact members, who are the next stage on from Impact, lovely to have so many of them along, because they are going to know everything that I'm going to share, but they also know, just like that happens to me, that when you hear a message you've heard before, you are not in the same place. If you're a conscientious learning practitioner, which is why you're on this call, so that will be you are continually moving on. So you hear a message you've heard before and you think, I'm hearing something different now. This means something different for me. So the first thing I would love you to write in the chat box, everyone, really important. Are you brand new to me and EYMaths? So as you can see on the screen, I'm Karen Wilding. I'm the director here at EYMaths and the founder. Or are you someone who's done some training with me a little bit, or are you what's called one of my pathway or impact members? I have 2 stages of membership there. Maybe you've worked as a group with me, which is called team impact, when people work as a group within their setting or school, or maybe a group of schools. We also work with the Ministry of Defence. We work with huge local authorities. We work with people all over the world. So tell me in the chat box, who are you? Are you new? Have you done a bit? Or are you one of my members? Because what I'd love you all to see is we're likely to get every possible answer, which tells you a lot about what EYMaths is for. While you're writing that in, just especially if you're new, we are here, I am here, for everyone who works with 3 to 5 year olds anywhere in the world. There's far too much talk about schools and teachers, or reception and not nursery. So in England, that is, reception is 4 and 5 year olds, nursery is 3 and 4 year olds, but nursery can be 0 to 3, 0 to 4, 0 to 5 as well. So what we need to think about is, it's not about what our role is. That is important. I want you to know, I know that's important, but it's about the fact that these are children aged 3 to 5, and they are there wherever you are in the world, and they all deserve the same quality of practitioner, and we all have our passions for what we want for those children, and that is what we're about in EYMaths. So that, a lot more I could tell you, but I hope that is a great start. So I'm going to pull on, here's Veronica. So Veronica's given permission to eCam so I can see her name. Newish impact member. I've had a few months of bad health and haven't been able to make the most of it yet. Top marks to Veronica for putting a yet on the end. And Veronica, you're in really good company, because many of my members are members in Impact. They are nursing elderly parents, perhaps with, things that have got Alzheimer's and really challenging situations. We've got people who've got young children. We've got people who've got a lot of children. We've got people who have got poorly partners and so forth. So we are very realistic about real life in this group. And one of the things that we do is we exist to support each other. We exist not to judge. We exist to keep you safe. So that way you can come on and ask anything and not feel worried about someone, jumping in and biting your head off, which sometimes happens in other groups, not this group, because if it does, we deal with it. Great. Oh, so somebody's here saying, just listen to some of your number sense training. So was that on YouTube? Anybody who doesn't know about the YouTube channel, you never need to pay me a penny to learn with me. I have a really extensive YouTube channel. I have sessions like tonight. We have the group that you're watching this on, where you just need to ask a question. and I will help you and others will help you. If you want more support and you want to have a real sense of direction and come on a pathway with me, so I say what to do and then what to do next and support you, and I'm on that journey with you along with other amazing members, then particularly Impact is where you need to be, because that community is better than I could ever explain and better than I ever could have wished for. So watch out for particularly my Impact members in there. Pathways are a lot newer, and Pathways for people who want support but don't want to come on training with me and don't want to be as involved. But clearly the more involved you are, the more you will gain from the community. All right, you're very welcome, Veronica. All right, so keep on. If you just, you just shoved the kids in front of the telly or whatever you've done, or you've got them off to bed, the reason we run them at this time is we are international, but many, many practitioners are here in the UK or on a similar time zone. And you asked me right at the beginning, can we have sessions at 7:30 onwards? Because we want to put our children to bed and we want to read stories and things. So that's why we do it at this time of night. So I hope that works for most of you. Okay, I am going to get straight on. So give me a thumbs up if you've got a drink, very important. So if not, yell at someone politely to get you one. It's okay to have a wine or whatever it is as well. Wine without the H, by the way. And make sure you've got something to write on and we'll get started. So I'm going to wait for those thumbs up. There is a little bit of a delay. So I should be inundated with thumbs up any second. Trying to get myself back on track thanks for the motivational speech. Tell you what, if you need kicking up the bum and you need your big girl pants, big boy pants putting on, I am your woman. Come and see me. I will do it with lots of love, but tough love, and I will get you back on track. So yeah, good place. Okay, the thumbs up is coming through. So I am going to switch over here and we'll get straight on because this session will go really, really quickly. Okay, so I promised you my 3 top tips. So I'm just saying, yes, you can definitely see what I can see. Excuse the technical bit here. I'm just going to double check because there's nothing worse than me chattering on and you not seeing what I can see. So hang on, that should have switched over. Oh, hang on, it's not doing anything. Is it? Oh, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Yes, there it is. Okay, so my 3 best tips. I mean, how hard is it for me to extract 3 things from all of the things that I want to share with you? But I put myself in the position. I was an early years practitioner myself for many years. I've also taught all year groups up to year 6. So therefore, from me, you don't just get the early years perspective. You get the perspective of someone who's seen where this goes. And knows how important it is that you are respected and you have the tools you need to do your job brilliantly. So my expectations of you are always really, really high. And I know my Impact members thrive under that. So I thought, how did I feel when I was heading back to school, which a lot of you are doing, or heading back to my setting at the end of August? It's September tomorrow, obviously. Frankly, terrified was mainly the feeling I had. I would dream that I couldn't remember how to teach. The more I thought about it, the more overwhelmed I became. And for those of you moving year groups, or if you're new to teaching in whatever capacity or new to your role, or you've had a break, maternity leave, illness, oh my goodness, you are going to feel that times 100. So if that means anything to you, pop some thoughts in the chat box, because we totally get where you're coming from. Oh, Joey says can't get any sound. So someone's helpfully said refresh the page. Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Joey won't be able to hear me say that, but someone else can type in. It's best to come off Facebook and come back on if you have any technical difficulties. Okay, right. So I'm honestly, does that make sense to you? Can you hear that I do understand where you're at? And it is very, very normal. So why this session? Okay, this is going to divide the group perhaps, and you will know whether you are on the right call or not after what I say here. I spend a lot of time talking to my members. I spend a lot of time reading what is going on other early years groups. And we are in a bad place, everyone. It is not that we've put ourselves there, but I want you to know that where we are with teaching maths in the early years and other year groups is a form of hell. we have got this sense of, if you look online, you will see people at this time of the year asking questions that don't make a difference to how much you know. They don't make a difference to how much children will learn. We're icing very bad cakes, and that is a very polite way of me putting something, which can be put in a lot more impolite way. You'll get what I'm talking about if you've heard the phrase. It's about, all I see is scheme followers. We follow White Rose. Someone even said the other day on the White Rose group, White Rose isn't statutory, you know. Oh my goodness, why would anyone think that White Rose was statutory? And I'm not even going to go down the road. It's not about White Rose. It's not about Maths No Problem. It's not about Power Maths. It's about this wildness that schools are running down saying, our maths isn't working, it isn't good enough, so we'll buy in a scheme and it will mend everything and sort everything. It won't. The only thing that will improve outcomes for children is investing in the practitioner. So those of you who do have schemes, either you want them or they've been forced on you, I want you to be a user of a scheme, not a follower. We follow put in scheme name, not good. That means you're going to be saying week 1 we do this, week 2 we do this, week 3 we do this. You've got to think about why schools and practitioners end up in that situation. It's because people are scared and they're lost and they don't know what else to do and they want to do their best. That makes complete sense. Don't go down the road of being a follower because it doesn't work. The idea that we teach maths through PowerPoints, can we project images as part of our teaching? Of course, but the idea that we would have a pre-prepared PowerPoint that someone else has produced and that would be our maths planning and our maths teaching, that is not how children learn. That's not how you become better at your job. Workbooks, worksheets, and the idea of if we teach it, they will learn. A bit like the Kevin Costner, if we build it, they will come. It doesn't work. Okay, so I want this to make you feel uncomfortable if you don't know me and you haven't heard me talk like this before. But if you're happy with scheme following, PowerPoints, workbook, worksheets, coverage focus, you're not alone, but this isn't the session for you and I can't help you. So I would, at this stage, leave this call because it's not, maybe it's just not the right time for you. Okay, so I'm just going to come back on screen because that is my cards on the table, and anyone who's done even the tiniest bit of work with me will know this is about me saying you don't know what you don't know and you need the right tools and you need support, because that's what I've been through. Okay, but I understand that some people might not be ready for that, and that's fine, but you know, don't stay on the call. Okay, right, and someone said, I wish my maths lead could hear you. Now, I will always as well talk to anybody about this because I've been the maths lead, I've been the local authority advisor, I've been the independent consultant. Okay, so that's cards on the table, everybody. That's what I'm about, and I'm not going anywhere. So if you are in the right place, I am going to support you 100%. Okay, so let's move on then. Top tip number 1, my impact members will be like, gosh, you never got round to this quickly ever. I know. Massive thumbs up for Karen to get on with things. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to teach them in the way they learn. Shouldn't this be the most obvious thing? There's not one of you listening to this that isn't thinking, well, of course we want to teach them in the way they learn. Well, let me take you back a slide. Can you see the hell there? That is not how anyone learns. Yeah? Yes, I'm using a PowerPoint here, but I'm using a PowerPoint to keep me on track, and I'm going to give you lots of examples. The PowerPoint isn't doing the teaching, just in case you thought there was an irony there. So I'm going to teach you about 3 vehicles tonight, and I use the same language all the time. So the more you do training with me, you'll hear me use phrases that may be less familiar to you at the moment. So write this down. It's quite a difficult word to spell. So number 1 is fascinations, and we haven't got a lot of time today, so I am going to go through these 3 things, and I want you to think of it as there's a door to a room, and on the door it says fascinations, and I'm opening the door a little tiny bit and showing you what wonderful stuff is inside, but this is not then going to tell you everything you need to know. Of course not. So if you like what you see, I can give you more. So fascinations are, and this is where you have to do a bit of work here, Fascinations are exactly as they sound. They are the things your children are drawn to, whether you like it or not. You go on a walk with a 2 or 3-year-old, pretty much drawn to everything that you think is disgusting and they think is very interesting. So I would like you, let me just switch back over again. I want you now to put in the chat box whether you are a parent and not a practitioner, or a parent and a practitioner, or you've got children of all different ages of your own that might be under 5 and under, or you work with them. So what are you can do 0 to 5 if you want, but remember my specialism is 3 to 5. What are your children drawn to in your setting as a childminder, as a preschool practitioner, as a reception teacher, as a nursery practitioner, whatever your role is? What do you see them wanting to touch, wanting to play with, wanting to explore? Literally, and my members will hear me say this all the time, do not overthink this. There are no prizes for an answer that will impress Karen, because Karen just wants to know what's in your head. All right, so pop them there and just think, and it has to be something that at this stage you haven't necessarily consciously given them. You may have put it in the provision, but this isn't about you showing them something and them thinking it's fun. It's the things they find for themselves, the things they really think. You need to be watching. You need to back off. You need to really know your children, and we can all do this better. So this is going to be your first list. Get these down. And what I want you to do on the back of this training is, when you go into your setting, or if you're in your setting already, different part of the world, maybe no breaks at the moment, put up a big piece of paper on the wall, tie some pens to it, because if you don't tie them, they'll go walkies and you'll never see them again. And literally get your staff to notice, what is it our children are drawn to that aren't things that we are pointing out to them. Okay, because that's different. That's what we're going to come to next. So Toyin said loose parts. So you can write loose parts, and then you can say what loose parts. What specifically? I want you to get to know what your children are drawn to. They're not always drawn to things they love either. There's Greg Bottrell talks about malevolence. Yes, the idea about being drawn to things that are scary and yucky and that kind of thing as well. So, okay, carry on with that one. Really, really important. So the second one here, done that with you. The second one is what I call, and what I got this phrase from Reggio Emilia, a city in northern Italy, if you're not familiar, and an amazing approach to early years that taught me more than I could ever explain. But provocations, I want us to think about what provocations are. So they are different to fascinations. They can overlap, but provocations are the things that you bring to children. So in the simplest form, I saw one of you posted that you had a lovely box of old keys. Now everybody's going to do this. You've gone along to Timpson's or the similar sort of cobbler place, and you've gone along and said, have you got any old keys? And obviously you have to be very, very, what's the word I was going to say, careful is not the best word. You have to be so precise with your health and safety and your risk assessment here. So I'm going to say that out loud straight away. I know that sounds obvious, but when we pick up things from other places, sometimes we don't assess the risks as much as we need to. But you go and get a pile of keys or a pile of old bolts and you bring them in, and oh my goodness, I mean, I want to play with those now at my age. You bring them in, they're probably not going to come across these, certainly not all of your children. And it's going to cause discussion. It's going to cause exploration. It could be a story. It could be the weather. It could be a visit somewhere or a visitor into school. But I want you to think, what are the things that your children are drawn to, but they probably wouldn't have found them or encountered them without your support? Okay, and sometimes it's the support of the environment, because obviously the weather comes to us. So we've got fascinations are things that are there that the children are drawn to, and provocations are things that we bring into their world. So write some of those in the chat box if you haven't already. Brilliant. Keep them coming. We've got loads. Let's see how many people. 175 people on. How fantastic. Welcome anybody who I haven't said hello to. And there are lots and lots of here's Zofia, one of my Greater Impact members down in London. Mud Kitchen, Home Corner with real resources, 2 massive fascinations last year. So we talk about this in Impact a lot. And can you hear this is about you noticing? When you are going in, if you are someone who's starting with a new group of children and you're thinking, oh my goodness, how do we start? I want you to do these things. I want you particularly to notice the fascinations. Okay, so keep adding stuff into the chat box there. Okay, so we've had 2 so far, fascinations, provocations. The third one I want you to think about, oh, I think I've just got that the wrong way around. Let me just do a little bit of wriggling here. So, okay, so the third one is daily routines. Oh my goodness, I've got them all over the place, everybody here. We'll just go like this. So daily routines, I don't need to tell you what they are. So you know what are the things from the minute your children walk through the door in the morning into your setting, what are the things that may not be very interesting, some of them are, some of them aren't, but they're the things that you have to do every day, and they make up the, as it were, timetable isn't a great word, but the things that basically keep us all well fed and safe and comfortable, and things that bring us together. So just start again, don't overthink them. Go through your mind. If you've changed your role or you've changed your group of children, think back to your last group. But what are the things, literally from them arriving on the school or setting premises, list those routines, okay? I'm just going to have a quick look because I think I've got a couple of slides the wrong way around. So I didn't need to tell you that, did I? I could have done it very subtly here. Okay. Right. Oh, I was going to go up there. Never mind. We'll make this work. All right. Okay. So honestly, I'm just thinking aloud because I'm trying to control too many buttons. All right. So hello songs, circle time, hand wash, register, break, lunch, snack. Lots of my members, we do a lot of work on calendars and a lot of work on how many days until something happens, like someone's being picked up or someone's birthday or something the children are really excited about. So that is a good time to mention actually that September's snack size webinar, which you can find on my website from tomorrow, is going to be all about time. So the impact members have done lots of work on this and got brilliant things they can share. So changing coats, putting water bottles away might be, so we've got prayers depending on the type of school you're in. It might be like choosing something. So many of my members do voting for the book they might want to read at the end of the session and that kind of thing. Okay, so you've got that in front of you as well. Let's have a look at the next thing. Okay, see, look, I got myself in a right muddle here. Top tip 1, we've gone past top tip 1. There we go. So they are our 3 top tips. Let me take you back to this one. So the 3 key vehicles: fascinations, provocations, and daily routines. Now, they are, and I'm going to show you this a bit more in the next slide, they are the vehicles through which your children learn. End of. They learn through things that are interesting to them. So that's fascinations and provocations. They learn by doing something constantly and doing, most importantly, all of these things are about serving their needs. We as humans are only motivated in 2 ways. And one of those ways is that we're motivated to keep ourselves alive and safe and comfortable. And if you ask yourself from now till you go to bed tonight, why have I just done that? So maybe if I'm readjusting myself on the chair here, that's because I'm uncomfortable. So it's serving my very basic human needs. You know, having a drink. And that's because I'm thirsty. If I don't do that, eventually I'm going to get very poorly. So that's one of the reasons we do things. And the other reason we do things is to give ourselves pleasure. And that pleasure can be, it kind of, you know, obviously things that make you happy, but it can also be things that just feed your curiosity, shock you, make you laugh, make you excited, you know, anything that creates an emotion. And they are kind of, you know, they're kind of say like the icing of the cake in life. But every single decision you ever make as an adult or as a child is driven by one of those 2 things. So you can look at the way that we traditionally or currently are teaching our children and you think, are we using those vehicles well and effectively? So let's move on then and see what my next top tip is and how that fits in. So my next top tip, write this down, and my impact members particularly will be so well versed with this, but I want you to start with the why instead of the what. And I'm going to take you through what I mean by that. But every single scheme out there, every single activity that I see, and please, you can challenge me on this and put examples on the group that don't fit with what I'm saying here, but they are about, here's the activity to do with the children. That's why we see so many questions on groups saying, hit me with some ideas, my mind's gone blank. You might have done that one. I see that all the time. I want to make something exciting. I want to, give me some new ways of doing this. That is not where to start to teach children in a way that they will learn. So I've got a diagram here to help you understand this, which I've developed, and you will again see running through all of my training. And I'm going to explain this a bit more, excuse me, and in everything you do with me, you'll hear me using these 3 words in the same way. So I want you to think of teaching children or teaching anyone as like an iceberg. The bit that lies under the water is the why and the how, and they are the most important things. But if we're not careful, all we see is the bit above the water, which is the what. So let me unpick that a little bit more. And bear in mind that we've got a short session today. But the why is, why would children need to learn this math skill? So I'm going to give you an example of this in a minute, but I want you to think, and if you're not in England and you're not following the early learning goals, think about your curriculum, wherever you are in the world. What is one of the key skills that you're expected to teach your young children in terms of mathematics? Now, instead of what's a great activity, which is the what above the water, we need to stop and think, whether they are 3 or 4 or 5, why would a child of this age need to learn this? How is it going to fit with the mathematical journey that they are already on and are going to be on when they next year and the year after and the year after? So how do you fit in with that trajectory of learning? I don't know if anyone ever said this to me, and it's absolutely vital, because then you realize you don't understand the maths well enough yourself to know this. So that is why we have to invest in our own maths subject knowledge. The how is how our children learn. The posh word for that is pedagogy. So pedagogical knowledge is understanding how someone is actually going to acquire that knowledge. You've got to understand what the knowledge is first, the why. Then you think, how do they do it? And finally, once we understand the maths and we understand how children learn, and you can see the link with the task I've just done with you, the fascination, provocation, daily routine, that is going to be how they're going to learn. That's the vehicles. What activities will achieve this best? Because all anyone wants, even though some people hide it very, very well, all any Ofsted inspector wants, all any parent wants, all any senior leader wants, is for children to make great progress. It's the how we do that people are losing their way on. So let me know in the chat box again, does that make sense to you? And we'll look at an example together. Okay, I'm just going to come back on the screen so I can see what you're saying in the chat box. Yeah, so I imagine this is one of my impact members here saying destination. We talk about this all the time. When you are going on a real life walk, if you just start walking, and even if you've got your posh backpack and you've packed lunch and your great boots and stuff, you're not going to get there because you haven't decided what the destination is. You need to focus on your destination, notice the terrain, take the right stuff, and then start doing the walk. And of course, there's a lot more to that analogy, but I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so someone's saying about not doing proper teaching. I think there's an awful lot there that we need to unpick, which I won't unpick tonight, but not just in early years, but in other year groups. We don't know enough about the maths to elevate that status. It is absolutely right and also wrong. It is correct that people really look down on early years practitioners, and that happens within the school you're in and within the setting you're in, because the evidence of that is that a head teacher in too many cases, not all, but too many cases, will invest in the Key Stage 2 teacher's development far more quickly than they will in the teacher of early years. and they will try and mend something that's gone wrong rather than prevent it. That's not all, but that is very, very human as well. So again, I'm not saying things with judgment here. I'm saying things because that is the way it really is. Okay, so let's go back to our slides here. So here's an example. You know, it's so much easier, isn't it, when we put things in context. This is taken from the early learning goals. Compare quantities up to 10 in different contexts, recognizing when one quantity is greater than, less than, or the same as another quantity or as the other quantity. One of the massive elephants in the room with the early learning goals, and the same with the national curriculum if you teach older children, is there's no exemplification. And what I mean by that is it doesn't say, so this is an example of this in context. And therefore, we all interpret statements like this differently, and we interpret them differently based on your subject knowledge. So bear that in mind, really important. That's why you turn to a scheme, because if you don't know what it means, you believe the scheme will deliver it on your behalf. So what I'm going to ask you here is, and this is going to do this very briefly, but I want you to start this process with me. Why do children need to be able to compare quantities up to 10? And there is a relevance with it being up to 10, and it's not to do with the fact that they're young and these are low numbers. It's to do with the fact that when we get to 10, we actually start a new 10 because of our base 10 system. But again, that's learning for another time, but bear that in mind. What maths is involved in understanding that one quantity is greater than another, more than, or less than another, or is the same? So in mathematics, we're talking about equality, a greater quantity, a lesser quantity, an equal quantity. How is this going to be important to them when they're 5 and 6 and 7 and 11 and 16 and 42? And then how will they use this skill as they progress? So exactly what I've just said there, you are part of a journey, and you need to know which part of the journey are you giving these children and what will happen next. If you've never ever thought like this, you are not alone. And this is why what we do at EYMaths is so different. When you do think like this, you sometimes then think, oh my goodness, I literally haven't got a clue where to start. That's normal. That's because you're looking in your toolbox and your toolbox is currently empty. And that's where we were all like that. And you need to be given the right tools and given the support to build that toolbox. If you choose that you're just too scared and you want to hug your scheme, you can see again, you're not the right person to work with us at the moment. But if you're going, I'm scared, but I want to know more, you're in exactly the same place as everyone who starts this journey. So I hope that makes sense. Food for thought. So keep putting in the chat box. I'm getting you to work hard here because it will work brilliantly for your learning. Put at least one thing in the chat box. Why on earth would children need to do this? And secondly, what is the mathematics in this? And the mathematics in it is nothing to do with early years. It's the mathematics of more and less and equal to. And that underpins every part of calculation, every part of making sense of money in the future, every part of good value. And I want you to start thinking like this and thinking, oh my goodness, I was maybe thinking about children as 3 to 5 year olds needing to know this. That's not where we start. Think about the big picture. So give me some thumbs up if that makes sense. And while you're thinking about that, again, write lots of stuff down. You can come back to this after this session. You can watch this session again. When you get your why right or right-ish to begin with, your subject knowledge will improve dramatically, and I can help you improve your subject knowledge because it's a case of just reading the right books. It's the easiest thing to develop, and you just need to read the right books, come back and talk to me and other members and ask questions, and every impact member will tell you the thing that has impacted on their role more than anything is developing their subject knowledge. So if you're an impact or greater impact on the call today, just let us know in the chat box about that, because I know we talk about it all the time. When you have your why, right, let me just change that. You will be so motivated to do things in a way that works. if you focus on an activity, you do an activity and then you do another activity and then you do another activity and then you move on to a different area of maths. And it's very pedestrian and very coverage, and you can feel it the way I'm saying it. When you know that you are a vital cog in a wheel that is going to build this machine within a child, that they're going to be successful in future because you got your cog right, blimey, you become like a little dog with a bone. You're not going to let go of it. So again, let me know in the chat box, does that make sense to you? Before I move on, does that make sense? Even if you don't know how to do this yet, that yet word, very important, that Veronica used. Does this make sense that you get that bottom of the iceberg focused on, oh my goodness. And believe me as well, when Ofsted inspectors come in and when senior leaders come in and subject leaders come in, you will know your stuff. And we've got so many examples and impact of children actually correcting Ofsted inspectors. There's at least 2 examples I can think of recently, because the practitioner's subject knowledge was so strong, the children were so well taught that when the Ofsted inspectors got it wrong, we had 4 and 5-year-olds correcting them and leaving the Ofsted inspectors speechless. More of that, please. Very, very happy. Okay, so let's move on again. So we said why. Now we've got how. That's the second bit of the iceberg that I'm pointing there. So I want you to think about how this links with my 3 vehicles at the beginning of this session. How are your children already experiencing quantities that are more and quantities that are less and quantities that are the same, so equal, in their lives? I'm going to have a look at the chat box in a moment. They will have been doing this since they were born. So again, don't overthink it. When do you know for sure that your children are interested in and dealing with things being more, things being less, and things being equal? And if you know young children, you know that they talk about this a lot. It is very, very important to them. And as soon as they can talk, they'll talk about it most of the time. Food. Yeah, so tell me some more about food. What are the things that they say? What do they notice? What do they get worked up about? I'm just going to look back through some of the comments in the chat box. So Jane says here, Jane's our impact member, subject knowledge is key. It's so exciting to sharpen your tools or learn new things from reading the right books and articles. And we're not scared anymore. I used to be scared of what I didn't know because I taught right up to year 6, like, you know, kicking and screaming, getting me into Key Stage 2. And then I realized it's just because I didn't know stuff and I didn't know how to find out. And once I did, it was amazing. Okay, so food, yeah, they will talk about, won't they? Like, she's got more than me. Or even before they can talk, have you ever cut up a pudding or divide up a pudding in front of a 18-month or 2-year-old and you give someone else more and they love that pudding? Everything about the way they're looking and looking at theirs and looking at the others and their indignant face tells you they completely understand. Whether it's sharing out sweets, but that sense of fairness. Another lovely one as well, which isn't about items, but about more and less as well, is that what that statement is about, specifically about items up to 10. But have you ever come across children who, usually 4 and 5-year-olds, age range, and you'll have children who say, but I'm 5 and he's 4, but what they're concerned about is that the 4-year-old's taller than them. They can't work out why someone who's 4 can be taller than them, because in their head, the older you get, the taller you get, which is a lot to back that up to a certain age. And you get this sense of more and less coming out and inequality in lots and lots of different ways. So, is somebody saying, missing bits? Yeah, so don't worry, it's all going to be on the group afterwards, okay? I think the internet is fine, but of course it might not be fine between you and me. But don't worry, you can watch any bits that you've missed. Okay, so the how is about the way they learn. So you go back to those vehicles I talked about. This is why the how is so important for you. You're going to teach them in the way they learn. So that goes back to my top tip number 1. This one makes my heart sing. You are going to start where they are. You are going to go to them and they look at point 3 there, they are going to show you what they can already do, because they haven't come to you not knowing about these things. They know loads about it. They know about it in their home language that you don't speak. They know about it if they have developmental delay or specific special needs in ways that they want to communicate to you, but they can't communicate in more traditional ways. They need to be able to tell us what they know without answering a question that's our agenda. And again, in Impact, we do a lot of this about don't teach them to predict what's in the practitioner's head. And we've all been brought up on this. So does this all make sense, everyone? Again, I want you to be really excited about this. And if you're thinking this makes sense, but I don't know how to do it yet, that's a great attitude to have. That's why I'm here, because if you want to do it, I can help you to do it. And all of the wonderful members around us can help you do it. So finally, we're at the what. Okay, now you understand why your cog in the wheel is so important in getting children to have the best opportunities at learning maths for the whole of their lives. And now you understand that it is about noticing how they learn, because they're human beings and they learn in ways that are interesting to them and serve them, just like we all do. What are you then thinking about when it comes to, well, so what would be the best way to teach them? What are going to be the contexts that I'm going to work in? And, oh, what's this word supposed to be? Hang on a minute. Explicitly teach. Oh, let's just get rid of it because I can't do too many things at once. So the idea about teaching, applying, and exploring, I will change that slide later. But once you know these things, the thing we now need to think about is, so what do these activities look like? So before we go on to point 3, tell me, does this make sense? What is going through your mind? Are you having what we call in EYMaths wow bombs, hashtag wow bomb, all one word, where you think, this makes so much sense to me. I'm thinking, why are we not teaching like this? Why are the schemes not supporting us like this? And I don't know. I don't know why we haven't got, there's lots of stuff out there, but the road we're on at the moment is this blooming awful, let's all pay a fortune for workbooks that have got more paper and big coloured pictures in, and poor kids that have got to read stuff and fill stuff in. And it's broken, but perhaps you were thinking, but I don't know what else to do. And that's fine. That's completely understandable. Can you see there is not only a much better route, but we are starting to walk it here. It makes sense. And it's going to allow you to be an amazing practitioner who has an easier time, has a less stressful time, and sees their children just thriving in your provision, which is what we all want. We don't mind working really hard if it makes a difference. Okay, so brilliant. Oh, so whoever said this, sorry, I don't know who said this, but you have said something here that comes up all the time. Excellent, and not just relevant to maths approach, other areas too. Absolutely, because of course I'm coming at this as an ex-practitioner myself who didn't just teach maths. All I'm interested in is children learning brilliantly. And when I taught my year 3/4s, so my 7, 8, 9-year-olds, and my stinky year 6s, not so much stinky at this time of the year, but believe me, by the summer, I taught like this, with all of the pressures around me that you all have, because actually what people want is brilliant progress. And when you show them that what you're doing works, you change things. So Toyin says, not there yet, but on the way. We're all on the way, Toyin, honestly. That's all you can ever be. So that's why the term mastery needs to be mastering, because we're all on a journey, aren't we? The idea that there's mastery, it's like, oh, got there, brilliant, at it, what am I going to do next? All right, so let's go back and have a look at what we're at here. So, let me get here. So top tip number 3. Oh my goodness, I did check this. I think someone's been like munching at my slides and oh look, there's the rest of the word. It's just jumped over there. How strange. Okay, so we are now going to look at 4 ways of teaching maths. Hang on, do you know what? I'm just going to read this slide again. Use and maximize my 4 ways to teach maths I think Canva that I've done this on has been having a little bit of a kind of funny time. It did say something about not saving it earlier. So there we go. The main thing, that just ignore what I just said there. Just the main thing is think there are 4 ways to teach maths really well in a 3 to 5 year old setting. So this comes on the back of, I had a lovely meeting with a practitioner who is a manager of her nursery just earlier this week. And she said, they've been in Team Impact for a year. They've studied the Teaching Essential Number Sense course and the self-registration and the time, and they're doing brilliantly. And she said the thing we're still really struggling with is our inputs are 100% better than they ever were, 1000% better if you want to go there. But the thing we're still not good enough at yet is our maths in our provision. The maths that when we're not pulling them into a group and we're not got the whole group together. How can we improve that? So if that's you, you're not alone, and this is what we can do to help. And as I said, there's much more to this, but in our session today, I hope it really helps you. So top tip number 3, there's going to be 4 of these. This is number 1. So teacher directed, I want you to write that down. And teacher directed, I'm going to put this into a context again to help you understand this. Teacher directed is the way of teaching maths that you are most familiar with, all of you. It's been done to you and you do it now. And it is so important. It is when the children or the receivers of what you are teaching either don't know anything about this way to do it, or have only just started learning and couldn't do it without your support. So the way I want you to think about this is you're teaching a new song, and the song you're teaching your children involves counting to 10 within the song. We all know lots of songs where that's the case. And what I want you to think about is when they don't know the song, you are going to have to be in control. You own this learning. You're like, this is what we have to sing. This is how we have to sing it. So can you see that the ownership is very much the practitioners? If you don't do that, how on earth are they going to learn? We all need that. So another analogy might be, if I was going to teach you to cook something, the first time you would just want to stand next to me and be like, right, Karen, you cook it and talk me through what you're doing, but you do everything because you don't know what you're doing. Does that make sense? So that is practitioner directed or teacher directed, okay? And it is an essential part of how to teach maths. However, in many, many settings, that's all that's happening. And people are like, well, the maths is kind of out there in the setting and they're encountering it a lot. Now, that's true, but if you don't really understand it, you're not going to see what they're doing and you're not going to know how to maximize that, which is what we're going to get to. Okay, so next one. 2nd out of 4 is we move to what I'm going to call, these are all my phrases, but I've used them for a long time and they really seem to work, is practitioner led. So this time we're singing the song with the children and they know the song and they've sung it with you before. They may not be brilliant at it yet, but they're getting better. And what I want you to do is relinquish a little bit of control. And you will do this instinctively, but I want you to do it consciously. You might say to the children, instead of going to 10 today, what number should we go to? Give me another number that is less than 10. And you might have to model what that means, but they might say, okay, let's go to 6. So what you've done is you've not only asked a question there that cognitively takes quite a lot of thinking about and will reveal what knowledge they've got. And of course, if they're not ready to do that, you might say, you might structure that question in a way that's easier if your children are younger. But my point really here is you give them some choice. So they are starting to take some control over it. Maybe if the song's about 10 little dinosaurs, say, do they have to be dinosaurs? What could we have? Maybe they say, oh, someone from space, like little spacemen, or maybe they say ladybirds or something. So what you're doing is you are letting go a bit, because what we don't tend to do, or we don't do enough, most of us, is once someone knows how to do something a little bit, you've watched me cooking that meal, you're standing next to me, and I've done that bit and you've got your head around it. What most people want to do is say, well, can I do a bit of it this time, but can you still be here? Because I don't know how to do it completely. But if you're not allowed to do it for yourself, you're never going to learn. And also it can become really frustrating. I did a painting holiday recently and the lady was demonstrating to us But she demonstrated for way too long. And I'm sitting there at the age I am, and I felt like a child because I was getting frustrated and I was getting bored. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm an adult. But it's because she held on to it for far too long, and we needed to be let go. Another day, she showed us something and then she drew alongside us, and that was so good. And then she was talking us through what she was doing. So tell me if that makes sense to you. Be aware that you are likely holding on to your teaching too tightly. The third one is what I'm going to call child-led. So instead of you instigating the task, this time the child has instigated. So I want you to picture in your setting, you've got a couple of children, and there's things I can help you with here, but you've got a board, or we have a circle with a spinner in the middle. They've chosen a rhyme to sing that you sing with them, and they're singing it, and they call you over to either show off their skills, because children love to do this, or they call you over because they know you know the song better than them. And they may not be consciously doing this, but they know you know the song better than them. So if you come and join in, they'll be able to do it better. So again, think about that in the cooking analogy. It makes complete sense. So can you see here, we are relinquishing control from us and we are passing it over to the child. So this is exactly what can happen in our setting and what needs to happen. And again, I can help you know how to do this, but we need to get this structure in place. It needs to make sense. The final one is child initiated, and this is so hugely important. This is where, in the context here, you see or hear that a child is singing that song, and it is their version of that song. In this version, the numbers don't go in the same order that you taught it. They are maybe mixing different songs together, and then they are going off and doing something else and half singing it and half not. What we've got to realize, of course, at that point is they don't want us there. Our interaction at that point will ruin everything. I am, honestly, if you want me to clear your sandpit area, I am still the best person to do that with my ill-timed questions. And I joke about that, but it's so true. We need to, when we see that happening, we mustn't correct it, because the child is not asking us to tell them the right way. They're exploring it, they're feeling it, they're experimenting, and it's vital. But what I want to give you at this point, which is one of the greatest things I can give you, is that the way they are using that song, if it is a song, it could be all different math skills like subitizing or counting or shape work or anything. But in this example, I want you to think that is telling you what it means to them at the moment. So we need to then look at that practitioner directed and think about joining this up. So imagine if I made this into a cycle and take child initiated up to practitioner directed. If your children are exploring an idea using loose parts outside, and you want to take that idea forward mathematically, plan your teacher directed with those loose parts. Or plan your teacher directed where they were working outside, or better still, plan it with the loose parts and where they were doing it. Make sure these things are connected, so we're continually working through a cycle. At the moment, there is a massive disconnect between this and this, and this, particularly if you are following a scheme, will be children sitting on the carpet, PowerPoint slides, little characters and things that you absolutely have the best of intentions. But there is, from the child's point of view, it is not flowing through your provision. It is not meaningful. And this is when they learn. They start learning here independently, and by here they have complete independence. They need you here, but you have to let go or they won't learn. Does that make sense, everyone? And I've got a few things to show you, and we'll just bring everything together as we're coming towards the end. And it is, I hope what I've shown you feels simple to understand, makes complete sense. And if you're anything like me and anything like everyone I work with, you'll be standing at the start of a new journey ahead of you and think, oh my goodness, I really want to go on this journey, but I don't know how to take the first step, and I'm scared. And where's the guarantee that this journey is going to be easy and successful? It will be successful, but it isn't going to be easy, and you're going to go like this because that's what life is like. And that's why we, in Impact particularly, we do stuff together, because when we fall down, we pick each other back up again and we share ideas. And of course, that's the way it is. Will you, by taking that very first step, transform the way your children learn within seconds? Yes. And that's what I'm going to finish on today and show you. And we might even have some of our members. I can think of at least one that I've got. In fact, two, I think, that I've got things that they've done. Let me just scoot ahead here. Because, so here, if I summarize first, my 3 top tips, who wouldn't want this? Teach them in the way that they learn. Fascinations, provocations, daily routines. Start with the why. Start with under the water of the iceberg and work towards the what. And use my 4 approaches. Learn to use them. Every Impact member that's on the call today would say, I'm still learning to do all these 3 things. Not one of them would say, I've nailed it. But if they look back a year or a month or 2 years, some of them being with me 3 years, they'd say, I don't even recognize what I do now, because they're on this incredible journey. So you don't need to do anything else if you don't want to. You've got a YouTube channel full of videos, but if you want more help, got it into focus. Today is the last day you can snap up the self-registration training that I'm doing, which will fit with your daily routines, and it fits beautifully with subitizing. It is an introduction to 5 frames and then 10 frames. And probably the thing I love the most is it's a brilliant way of getting your parents and carers to see how you teach maths. So we've got here Zofia, who is on the call tonight. And I remember this so well, Zofia, when we had a live call and I said, honestly, Zofia, it'll be like this. And she was very quiet. And then she came back the next day and she said, you said it would be brilliant and I should have trusted you. And this was with her nursery children, as you can see, in London. Here we've got, I think this is the lovely Jane, who's also on tonight. And these are her children. I mean, look at this. I love it. You're doing self-registration and look, they're in the middle of doing something else. I love pictures where children are in their coats inside because they move from one activity to another and they're flowing between different things. So here we've got stars over because it's children's faces. But these are my Impact members involved in their self-registration. So I'll show you how to go from 5 frames to 10 frames. And it is not about how many children are here today. It is about who is here today, because that is what young children care about. But there's so much you can do that you'll learn in the training. So here is Jane on the Impact group talking about the discussion, the amazing things. If you want to read these, everybody, they are on the website, so you can go and have a look afterwards. We've got Sika here, who is a childminder. I think Sika's a childminder or home educator, and she said, how can I do self-registration because we don't have enough children in our setting? So she looked at doing the who did we see today, and we've looked at when you've got very small groups of children, we've got childminders and Impact, how can you want to do it, so how could you do it differently that's still really meaningful to your children? Here we've got Countdown to Christmas. I don't like to mention the C word in August, but this was one of the many ways when children are getting really excited, actually removing counters. So it's exactly the same learning as the self-registration, but it's used in a different way. And we've got practitioners that use it for voting for books. And one practitioner, Carolyn, used it to show her children how many swimming sessions were left, and so many great ways. So I am going to leave you with the fact that when I put this slide up, it was 2 hours to go. It is now actually 29 minutes left before I remove this training. I may do it a little bit later because I haven't done my dinner yet. But all you have to do, if you want to grab that, I think actually what I will do is I'll pop over. Let's just change this. Right, I'm going to just show you. When you first go to the website, if you haven't been before, we should get a little pop-up. Make sure you fill this in, because this is the way I keep in touch with you. You'll get a load of freebies. So there's a lovely incentive to do that. And you can unsubscribe if you start getting annoyed with me. But get on this list and then you'll make sure you get all the emails I send. But can you see here, new for August? You can click there in the next 29 minutes, 27 minutes. and you can still do that and get the webinar. I'll be putting the time one next, which is all about calendars and daily routines and doing things in a very, very different way. And they're always going to be up the top here, or you can go to Snack Size Learning. But I just want to finish. I've mentioned impact all the way through here, and you can get the self-registration and the time and all of that support from all those amazing members in impact. And bearing in mind that the self-registration is £35, you can join impact, if I go down here, for £25, and you can cancel any time. So you do the maths. You could join impact for a month, get a webinar that's worth £35, and get next month's, and get all of the other stuff that impact members get. They get a whole library of webinars, and you're not risking anything, because if you decide it doesn't suit you, you can stop paying it and go somewhere else. You know, it's literally is a no-brainer. I know it probably sounds like it's too good to be true, but it isn't. It's, you know, it is as good as it sounds. So is there a charge? Yes, there is. If you are an impact member, there is no charge. You get all of this stuff in your library, plus you get live training with me. You get your wonderful impact group. In fact, I've got a slide about that. Let me just show you if I go back over here. Look at this. So this is my impact lounge. I think it sounds so lovely, doesn't it? Because we have a lounge, and these are all my wonderful members here. And I thought I'd just show you some of the photographs. So that just, yeah, focuses in. It's not your eyes. I know it's quite late. But these are just some of the many things that impact members share all the time. So they are always sharing their practice. Let's wait till it comes into focus. This is the internet being a bit slow. There we go. So we've got lots of work on 5 frames, 10 frames, documentation. We're doing a shape mini adventure at the moment, which is, we've just started, which is fab as well. But you can ask any questions about any of that on the group. You can either ask in the feed from this session. I would recommend, though, if you put it as a new post, if you've got a question, then the great thing is lots and lots of people see the question and lots of people benefit from the answer. If you put it in a feed like this, it gets lost and no one sees it. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, someone talking about, as an impact member, will it also not be available until, so if you're an impact member, so this is going to be the tough little bit, you should know that when you start impact, it is in your introductory section that you go through as an impact member, and it never ever goes away. You don't lose anything. You keep the stuff in your impact member. So maybe you're brand new. If you're brand new, I'm going to let you off. If you're not brand new, you need to get your cuppa, put your timer on, and go to the intro section. But impact members never lose anything. They keep everything. So worth every penny, says someone. Thank you very much. How do I access this from the start, says someone. Okay, so I can see that members have already jumped on and said this, but as soon as I finish, this will stay on the 3 to 5 group, okay? And when you're looking for it in the future, if you just go to media in fact, I'm pointing at this. Why don't I just show you? Hang on. Let's go to our Facebook group here. So I'm on impact at the moment. If we go to the 3 to 5 group, for example, people were looking for lesson viewer. We were talking about it on the group, so you can do something like that and it will bring up the right video as well. So have a little play with that, but it will be available to you on the group after the session. So no worries if you've had a little bit of interruption personally or with the signal as we've been going on. Bethan here, this is my lovely assistant, everybody, Bethan, that many of you know. So she's come on and answered some of your questions as well. Just having a look. Veronica, yes, it is in impact. Yeah, it's one of the first ones you do, as I've said there. So Emma, yeah, everyone's telling Emma. Emma must have said something about joining impact. You know, you have to ask yourself, it's 70p a day and you can leave any time. So, you know, I think sometimes though people go like, really, is there a catch? And like, there's no catch, because if it doesn't work for you, don't stay. But people do stay because it works so wonderfully, but no one is no one's gonna hold you to ransom and keep you there. And I was like, what would be the next best webinar? And they said time. So that is why time is going to be the one that I put on the website from tomorrow for September. All right, everybody. Just pop something before I go off, because get me dinner. It's quite late. But if you're still on, and we've got over 100 people still on, 95 now. A few people run away. Just pop a wow mom in the chat box for me. What are you going to take away from tonight's session? What has resonated with you? And I hope it's loads, but we are very big in impact on just one thing. We call JOT, because just one thing means you will go and take action on it and it won't overwhelm you. Has it helped you? Has it met you where you're at? Because that's my aim. Oh, okay, Emma, no problem. You just need to click on, when you get a moment, click on that eCam link and it'll give you permission and it'll show your name. So Kathy is one of our new members. She is storming an impact, doing the TENS course, she's doing it amazingly well. Wendy, wonderful Wendy, who I met in person when we had a get together in Birmingham in the summer, and Wendy saying impact is fantastic. Great. Oh, thank you. Very informative session. So Kathy says, don't hold on to my teaching too tightly. Just keep putting yourself in that position. If someone was teaching you to cook something, when would you want them to show you everything? When would you want them to pass that control a little bit over to you, but you would still be there? When would you want them to be on the other side of the kitchen? And when might you want to just go and mess around with it? And if you just do what you want to do, it's exactly the same. If you can relate to that, that's your 4 ways of teaching maths. Learning to let go, says Ali. Great. Focusing on top tip 1. Well done, whoever said this. Take that and you can make that happen instantly. Get some bits of paper up and just start noticing. Honestly, it will make so much difference. You will end up with huge amounts of vehicles to teach through and from. Getting your head to watch it already sold. Yeah. You know, I've got to be careful how I label people, but a head that is focused on what is best for children, because when you give children what is best for them and you give your practitioners what's best for them, that can only equal great progress, great mental health, great physical health, staff that want to come to work and want to learn. No good head would ever not want that. And I've been a senior leader and I've been a local authority advisor, so I speak from experience, not just, an ideal world. Brilliant. Okay, everybody. So confused with the price of the webinars. Are they 35 or 25? They're exactly what they say on the page. So let's go back over to the website. So I do a little early bird at the beginning. That may be what has confused you. So here, if you go on the website page and you shoot down to the bottom, it says here £35 for 7 days, or if you're a group, £99. So no confusion. But what I do, and I will email you about this, is I offer 72 hours. I offer the webinar at a much lower cost, but you do have that's to reward the people who open my emails. So tell me more if that has confused you. Tell me where that confusion has come from. And I'll make sure if there's somewhere that it says 25 and that's what's causing the confusion, I will look into that for you. Okay, so someone's helped you out there. Impact is my monthly membership. Okay, so the person who's asking that, I can see that's £25 a month and you get the webinars, plus you get a load of other webinars and you get live training with me and you get access to the group. So it's bloody amazing. Or you can just buy the one-off monthly webinar and it will cost you £35. It actually costs you more to buy one thing and it's cheaper to join Impact and you can leave any time. So yeah, the only confusion would be like, why would you buy, why would you buy the one-off when you can have loads in Impact? And Impact is amazing. I'll finish with Susanna. She's in Norway. Hey, Susanna. Impact is amazing. Best decision. You will feel more confident as a teacher. The parents notice with positive comments. Tack, good night. Yeah, tack. See, my very limited Swedish can understand. So yeah, thank you and good night. That is a great place to finish. So tack to you as well, Susanna. And hey, Dawn. All right, goodbye, everybody. Take care. Any more questions, say post them as a separate question on the group. You will help other people as well by asking more, and we can come along and help you in any way that you wish, whatever is your best next step. Take care, everyone, and see you soon.